I saw when MS Dhoni was hitting those sixes last night.
I'll rephrase the question. Not what is the best stadium. Which is a stadium that has made you emotional when you witness cricket there? Let's put it that way. As a broadcaster, or
as
someone
a
who's
broadcaster, not as a player. As a player
for England, so there was a lot of days that he was emotional.
Not in the Wankhede, he wasn't.
Our best days were beating Australia. That was also very emotional. Crikey, this is such a difficult question because you've got two teams here this evening. I wasn't a massive in favour of Hyderabad. Like, I always used to go to Hyderabad and thought, okay, let's go, we'll go and watch it, we'll go. This year, being a Hyderabad, I was there for the test match, and England won that test match, and the stadium just, it looked different. And then we were there the other evening for that 275-run game, and the orange and everything about the stadium just stood out. So, again, it's too hard for me to say, Mayanti. It's a very, very difficult. I mean, Eden Gardens last night won a fan poll on which is the most iconic ground in this country. So now I'm going against Eden Gardens. I'm going against the Wankhede. I'm going against the Chipak. You're going against this place. Like, it's a difficult answer.
Should we make him answer it?
I think Finchy's well suited for this.
Well, I think what it comes down to at times is the brand of cricket that you see at the stadium leaves an impact on you as much as the stadium itself. So you come to RCB and Bengaluru, and the sound, the noise when Virat walks out onto the ground, either for the warm-up or when he walks out to bat, it's unbelievable. When I remember the loudest I've ever heard a ground was Wankhede Stadium when Sachin and Sehwag walked out to do the toss after the 2011 World Cup. You go to Chepauk and Dhoni walks out and the fans just go nuts. So
Dhoni last night hitting sixes at the Wankhede. That was a joke. I mean, that was ridiculous.
But you talk about Hyderabad as well. Because Hyderabad are playing such a brand of cricket that is exciting to watch, you know that they're going to be attacking and aggressive. In the past, when they had Warner and Rashid Khan, it was exciting to watch. So I think they're the memories as a broadcaster that you feel more than the result of a game or the atmosphere of a ground.
It is the atmosphere. It's what brings you up. And in the moments when you're low, it supports you as a player. It inspires you to do your best. It's those people sitting out there in their stands. Let's find out what's trending. Icons, isn't it? One of the icons has just walked out of the Chinnaswamy, 118 runs away from 3,000 T20 runs in this ground. Two of them in action yesterday. And Mahi, he has not been out this entire season. He's remained unbeaten when he's walked out. You said it when MS Dhoni walked out there, hit those sixes. It was absolutely crazy. What the people wanted. He is living up to these billings and taking them back in time to what was, at the Wankhede, one of the best memories for Indian fans.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just take them back to Sri Lanka World Cup final all those years ago, and you can see that those memories will live long into the memory bank of the fans. This is the Wankhede Stadium. Yes, there was a lot of yellow last night. When he started to go mental, you heard a complete stadium giving him the level of support that he has, as if it was a homegrown boy from Mumbai. Only limping at the end of the game. He pulled up, and I don't know if there's going to be something that we see in the next couple of days with MS Dhoni, but he didn't look good. And I've had calf strains before, and that looked like a calf strain to me, just the way that he started to hobble. And I'm just hoping to high heaven that we don't have an injury to MS Dhoni, because what he gives to the fans, what he gives to this tournament, what he gives to the country, what he gives to us as broadcasters is just something so unique.
It is. And what Rohit Sharma gave his team yesterday, albeit in a losing cause, it's a lot of what we've spoken about. Changed his approach in the power play, very aggressive, hasn't been able to take it beyond the power play. If he does, what happens? Well, he showed us. I mean, his second IPL 100 in a gap of 12 years, mind you.
Yeah, and I think the most impressive thing about Rohit Sharma is that he's stuck with 32 or 2 IPL 100s or 10. I don't think it makes any difference, because the impact that he has by being so aggressive in the power play outweighs the amount of runs that he gets, I think, because what that does to the team is it sets up the rest of the batting order to be in front of the game. And as an opening batter, if you can do that, you've done your job. So I think people have to be prepared to change from looking at stats and looking at purely...
impact?
Yeah, purely hundreds and 50s and average to impact. What impact did I have on the game? And if I get 30 off 20 in a game when you need 200, it's not good enough. But if you get 40 off 18 balls, then that's a huge impact on a
Dhoni
game.
last night got 20 or 4 balls.
Yeah.
And I mean, what was the game difference last night? 20 runs.
20.
You also saw the way Rohit Sharma left the field. You don't necessarily see it on TV, and I know you weren't with us last night, but you can see the way that he left the field. I mean, his head was a trophy. That's what he wants, and that's all that he cares about.
And it's going to hurt. You can understand the pride for Rohit Sharma, the pride playing against Chennai Super Kings. This is an age-old rivalry. I mean, they're nemesis. It's a story that goes way back. So a loss like that would have hurt Mumbai Indians, that too on their home turf. But where exactly did they lose it? Our friends at ESPN Cricinfo tell us more. In terms of the bowling, Finchy, the slow balls that were used effectively, Paterana spell, Baby Malinga spell initially, just being able to defend targets as well. That was the difference in your estimation?
That makes teams force a little bit too hard, too early. Great use of him as well, great captaincy.
It's also a chance where they got a victory away from home, and Paterana was perfect for those conditions. Kevin Peterson was with us yesterday, the night that you've slept over it. Today, what would you say to Hardik?
It's clearly affecting Hardik. I've seen how crazy it's gone all over social media, and having longevity. And that's the fear for what's happening for me with Hardik at the moment, is that this is going to hurt him for a very, very long time. When he finishes his Indian career, when he finishes playing cricket, it's still going to hurt him. And that's why something drastic has to be done. Pardon?
Does it still hurt you?
It still hurts me, absolutely. Massively. I mean, you have a look at the reception sometimes that I get in England on occasions. Just have a look at my social media feed. I mean, once you have an imprint like that on, and the perception is there about the individual, I mean, it's hard to change perception. It's really hard. And for what's been experienced now is something that I've never experienced. I've been to India now for 20 years, 20 odd years I've been coming here. I have never, ever heard this sort of noise towards one player in particular everywhere. I was at Chelsea Man United last week at Stamford Bridge. The Man United came guys out, they got hammered. Of course they did. They're in London, they're getting hammered. Hardik Pandya is getting hammered at home. When Man United play at Old Trafford, or Chelsea were playing and they were 3-2 down, the guys were upset. Pick it up. And in a month's time, you will want to win a World Cup for India. And are the same people who are booing him now going to boo him when he plays against Pakistan in New York on the 9th or the 10th of June? I don't think so. So it needs to stop, and something needs to happen. Something drastic needs to happen, because I don't like seeing another cricketer going through something that I actually went through.
I think we have to be empathetic. It's not sometimes about cricket. It has to be about just human beings. They have families, they have feelings, emotions. And what he's going through is really hard. So irrespective of personal choices, we've got to be able to support each other as human beings. And perhaps that's the support that you see RCB receiving, even when sometimes the big names...
How much value you place on his performance, and that can sometimes get the best out of him as well.
Because we're playing franchise cricket, KP, the value, the price tag is often associated with the player. It doesn't leave you. So I wonder, when you did that expensive trade, and then Cameron Green, they've changed their players, RCB, about 19, 20 players, said, Cameron Green, you're on the bench. Do they bring him back and say, listen, buddy, go to 3. Do what you did well in Mumbai Indians. Maybe that will work for us. And that just might open the space for Glenn Maxwell to come in later where he's comfortable. Does that work?
I think when you team to win.
And they will want it from that one man who is this city's adopted son, someone who scored more runs here on this ground at the Chinnaswamy than anybody else, who probably needs just about more than 100 to get to 3,000 runs on this ground. This is his home turf, the King, Virat Kohli.
It's a special. But I think tonight, just the class of Sunrisers, I think the way that their unit has been functioning with Travis Head at the top, Sharma, I mean...
That's very difficult, Mayanti, because they haven't picked well. So, I mean, you can't bluff people and you can't bluff the fans, and we're certainly not going to try and bluff anyone here. Are you asking for a motivational, like if you were in the dressing room, something Cup was something you don't see everywhere. You just don't see it. So this fan base here is truly phenomenal. And this stadium, the Chinnaswamy, we're coming to Chennai, we're watching a game in Chennai. Where else should we watch a game? I said the Chinnaswamy Stadium is, you just...
RCB this season, let's get our Grow expert opinions from KP and Finchy. KP, 19 different players
find a combination that starts to work, because mathematically they're still in this tournament. They've got a couple of points, yes, but they are good enough, and they have got players that are good enough to go on a run. I mean, I'm saying they are good enough because I think that they are good enough. Maybe their bowling attack isn't good enough, but they've got the batters that can really go on and go and produce something. They have got to playoffs before. They have the chance to do it.
That's one thing worth discussing. On 11 occasions, failed to defend 190. Plus, they've had at least 6 overs in this competition where one singular bowler has gone for at least over 20 in 1 over. With Faf himself saying we don't have the weapons, does that put pressure on yourself as a batting unit, and your score always has to be 20 above par?
Yeah, absolutely. It does put it on your batting unit, but at the same time, you still need the support of your skipper. I was really surprised by the comments of Faf after the game. I think that there's different ways that you can probably say it without throwing a young bowling group under the bus. I think that there's times when teams need motivation and they need their big players to stand up. And we've seen that with Virat, but they need to be also good around him, and they just haven't been able to click as a unit with bat or ball. Like you say, if you're needing 220 every game that you start, then you've probably got to have a look at the structure of your team and have a look at the makeup of your team and find a different way to get the job done, whether it's picking more local players or picking an extra spinner. Regardless of what they're like, you just have to be prepared to change something up, because if you keep wheeling out the same thing and you keep getting the same result, it's like banging your head up against a brick wall.
It is. It's a tough one, and one player has tried consistently to score the runs. It's got the orange cap. Say it at the toss, but Maxwell, we had discussed it before. That was one of the pointers we discussed. Big name player, do you give him a rest? Will this work?
Time will tell if it's going to work.
Does it work for Maxwell?
Will it work for?
Does it work for Maxwell? Does it work for the team? They could be two separate things, KP.
Well, no, exactly right, and that's why time will tell. Time will tell whether or not it is going to work. I don't know what Maxwell's like when he gets dropped. I mean, I've played with him a couple of times, and I played with him a lot, actually, with the Melbourne Stars. We never dropped him there. He was pretty good. He was consistent. Finchie will have more intel on what he becomes as a player if he does get dropped, because you would have been in those. It doesn't matter how much money you are, it's about winning, and it's about putting smiles on these people's faces who don't care about the money.
The bowling has taken a big hit, so Lockie Ferguson coming into this side, how does that shape up?
Yeah, I think we know that he can bowl fast. He bowls a really good leg cutter, and a team with some right-handers in it, that can be really important through the middle, especially against guys like Klaasen and Aiden Markram. So I think that's a really good inclusion.
It certainly is. Okay, our studio position is right by the boundary. So if you look over your shoulder, you're like, oh, the wicket's right there. The boundaries are really... This is what we talk about these days. You saw it from Hendrik Klaasen. You saw it from Travis Head, how he set the tone for what has been carnage.
I was in Hyderabad a few weeks ago, and and he went properly. And I was just actually talking to a couple of bowlers here from the RCB team, and they were talking about the boundaries, and they were saying boundaries
perhaps has changed, and because of that, Hendrik Klaasen, we saw him promoted to number 3. His innings, the sheer impact that they had in terms of those 22 maximums.
So it's just a rare talent, and he's just a special player to watch. And he's one of these guys we've just got to enjoy. Everybody, we got to just enjoy. People like him, Surya Kumar Yadav.
And they one hit the roof. The funniest is right now that you have Hendrik will come again on Virat Kohli. He's more than 100 runs away from 3,000 runs at this ground. But just the sheer start. I mean, you're going to have to go from ball 1, won't you, KP?
Mumbai Indians went from ball 1, and Mumbai Indians got very close in Hyderabad a couple of weeks ago. So it's not to say that this is going to be a damn squib and RCB are going to get rolled for 100. We're going to see batters expressing themselves to the full. And when that fear factor is taken away, and that's exactly what's happened here. Sorry, I almost got hit by a ball. There's no way that anybody's sitting in the dressing room now going, right, what are the bowlers doing? It's like, forget what the bowlers are doing. We have one thing that we've got to do, and we've got to clear the rope. So we're going to see an exhibition. It could go well, it could go horribly wrong.
Just as very briefly as we wrap up, is it a day you're going to mix Maxwell? Right.
Not in the form that he's in.
Okay, so there you go. I mean, when you just look at things in context, I mean, it has been something absolutely extraordinary. It's not just Virat Kohli, but Faf du Plessis, who is the leader, who has to come out and show that momentum.
Every single batter has to show momentum. When you're chasing this many runs, everything is against you. Every single batter. It's not about Faf, it's not about Virat, it's not about DK, it's not about any other batter. It's about every single batter showing the intent from the first ball.
As the Sunrisers bowlers are warming up right behind us, 226. The blade of this man who's joining us here, Henrik Klaasing, along with Kevin Peterson and Aaron Finch on Amul Cricket Live. An aggregate of what, 549? Are we sure we're playing 20 overs here?
I think the new impact player makes a big difference, to be fair.
Never batted any better. Huh?
Been eating it nicely. It's been a lot of hard work and like I said to you
Don't give me it's been a lot of hard work. What is the hard work? Tell the viewer what the hard work is. You're the #1 batter in the world. What is the hard work?
Understanding your game, knowing what you need, maybe spinners to experiment with a lot of things, but that's all. Other than that, it's balancing the hard or training hard, making sure you have enough gym, but also staying fresh to be able to do it over and over and over.
So you're a gym guy? You're in the gym? You like it?
Hate fitness. So, but I will do my 30-40 minute sessions to make sure that I'm all good. That's why I like hitting sixes as well. But no, just explosive works, similar things to my batting style, making sure that explosive power is there, but also finding that time to be mentally fresh. Golf, love playing golf, but with the family.
There it is.
With the family onto it, it's difficult to go play.
But just the power that you do get through your hips and the way that you hit the ball, especially against the spinners, it is very much like a golf swing.
That as well, but I do watch a lot of baseball stuff. Try to simulate some of that hitting. I know it's a little bit different, but that setup of the way they just bring the front leg in and so that's been the things that I've been working on.
Over the last 5 years, we've seen the T20 game go to a totally different level. Where do you see it in the next 5 years? Where can it go from a current player that's still experimenting with the game? What more is there to explore?
Jeez. Hopefully not more, to be fair. I think it's reaching the limits of that is hard for anybody to bowl on. The boundaries are getting smaller and smaller. So I know it's all for entertaining.
You're going to need to hit it way better, but it's actually because we're talking about it on commentary and we said exactly the same as what you just said. So luckily a current player is echoing the sentiments that we were talking about on commentary. You know, in golf they're rolling back the ball to try and bring the distance back. I mean, you just said the boundaries cannot get any bigger here. When you go all around the world, you can't build bigger boundaries.
Yeah, I won't be happy facing 150. Maybe you back in your days you could have done it, but something that you can look into.
One of the things that we've been talking about is how the template for batters has changed. Is there a role for an anchor anymore, and the way that Travis Head starts his innings as well, and the rest of you just tee off. It's like a battle between all of you amongst who will get the fastest 50 for Sunrisers, who will get the fastest 100 for Sunrisers, who's got the best strike rate in all phases of the game. Is this the new template that other teams need to be adopting?
I think we're just lucky that it was nice.
And we're very lucky to see an innings like that. Thank you so much for taking out the time. All the best. I think you're off to Delhi next.
That's correct.
Yes, so have a good one. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you make your way.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Cheers, guys.
Let you make your way to join the rest of the team, because that was just incredible. And a lot of it, actually, you think it's almost reminiscent, Finchy, for a few Indian fans. So Travis Head scores 100, and Pat Cummins has a pretty awesome spell as a bowler. It just takes us back to November 19. But the way that they're working together in tandem, obviously Travis Head with the bat, but Pat Cummins himself, his leadership with his bowling on a day where, close to 550 runs have been scored.
Yeah, I think that's the advantage of having a bowler as captain, because he can understand what the other bowlers are going through. So I think that's a real advantage for the Sunrisers, to be able to lean back on that and say, right, how do we reassess? How do we go again? Where do we need to go from now to bring it all back together? So, yeah, Pat's been fantastic for a long time now for Australia, and now the Sunrisers as skipper.
Yeah. A tough day for Faf du Plessis with the bat. However, he showed the intention that you spoke about in the mid-shore at the power play stage. RCB were actually about 3 runs ahead to what Sunrisers were, and a lot of that just because of the intention when he walked out with Virat.
Yeah, but again, it was not about the power play. The power play, you've only got 2 fielders out, so those nicks that were going over third man, the slaps that were going
Ship has been under the scanner at the start of the season, got himself in a little bit, just not been able to carry it through today as well.
Yeah, it was always going to be difficult. Once that run rate starts creeping, good courageous move to put Klaasen in at number 3 and say, right, we're going to keep going. We've got a deep batting lineup. We're going to try and put Bangalore to the sword here, because I think a lot of times teams think, well, we've got this guy like Klaasen with so much power towards the back end. Let's hold him back. Glenn Maxwell more. No. Dan Vittori has talked about that. Play aggressive, play fearless. Yeah. Well, where are the consequences if it doesn't go right? Because if it does go right, you don't lose.
Yep.
Let's have a look at our Asian Paints super saves on a day that batters most definitely dominated. It was a few moments in the field. Started this IPL saying that, yeah, this is my last. I'm enjoying being with my mates in the broadcast box. And now we're like Dinesh Karthik for the World Cup, please. I mean, he is just batting on a different...
A lot of young players around the world that you have to be really specific with your preparation and with how you go about it. You can hit
of liberation, doing what you've already done in your career. You're not worried about selection, you're not worrying about pressure, and you're just...
That's a huge thing.
Yeah, you're making the fans come alive, because that innings made it just a margin of 25 runs when 288 needed to be chased. And yes, it's all about the fans this week, and so many reactions coming in from a lot of you on social media. It was a meme fest across the country for the IPL in the coming week. On that note, we'll take a breather when we come back. It's a top of the table clash that we've got to take about. Stay with us. That be a possibility as well? Why not? Because there are quality batters on every disposal, and if you think about it, pretty balanced bowling lineups as well. That's why they're at the top of the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rajasthan
conditions as well as a travelling team, Rajasthan seem to have most departments covered, so that could be a nice fight for KKR.
I mean, that batting was a joke, where that bloke just goes through the roof, because, man, he can play.
He got going a little bit the other night, and the game at Jaipur, he hit the field a lot, played some beautiful shots, hit the field, and then I think it was at Mohali, he started to really wind it up.
I was having a drink in the gym, and the Indian team was staying in the same hotel, and they walked out towards the swimming pool. And these guys started to walk.
Man crush if I've ever seen it.
I just loved the way he batted, man.
This is our pre-show right here with these two gentlemen for tomorrow. If you want to see a repeat of this, you've got to tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. on Amal Cricket. I'm going to let the two of you keep talking, because I actually live here in Bangalore, so I'm going to go home.
You do.
See ya. Good night.